This is WLOX News Now at 10. Your news starts right now.
Tonight, video surfacing that's landed Moss Point police chief suspended without pay. We'll show you exactly what went down during this traffic stop and why it's raising so many questions.
But first, let's get a tropical update on Tropical Depression 9 from Chief Meteorologist Carrie Duncan.
Well, Tropical Depression 9 is still a tropical depression. The latest information out, 35-mile-per-hour winds still moving to the north-northwest at about 2 miles an hour. So it is starting to take a little bit more of a northerly turn instead of moving to the northwest. Now, earlier today, we did see that track shift a little bit farther to the west. So the trajectory now taking it right along that Big Bend area of Florida. And it looks like it will be sometime Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening. Pressure is still at 1,004 millibars. It is forecast still to become a tropical storm within the next 12 to 24 hours. So we will certainly be keeping you updated on that. Plus, we'll have a look at what else is going on in the tropics and some of the models on TD9. We've got another area that we're going to continue watching across the Atlantic basin. For us right now, not a whole lot going on with WLOX First Alert radar. Drier conditions, it's going to stay hot and humid. We'll keep tracking TD9 and we'll have those new Hurricane Center models for you coming up.
Developing tonight, suspended without pay. Moss Point's police chief off the job tonight after video surfaces of him being pulled over by police in Pascagoula. This is the video from July 29th, right here. Moss Point Police Chief Art McClung pulled over allegedly for going speeds of up to 109 miles per hour. Learning of the incident, Moss Point alderman voted tonight to suspend McClung for allegations he was speeding and drinking and driving. Those words from Pascagoula police officers moments after pulling over Moss Point Police Chief Art McClung, who's taken from his vehicle and put in the back of a police car. With McClung in the back seat, the officers continue the radio.
Oh, yeah, he's toast. He knows it, too. Yeah, you can tell from the time we walked up.
McClung was initially cuffed, but then at the end of the video, it appears the handcuffs are being taken off. McClung wasn't taken to jail. He was given a ride home and not charged or cited. Now, we received this statement from Pascagoula Police Chief Kenny Johnson confirming McClung was stopped for speeding on July 29th. During the stop, Johnson says McClung told officers he had a couple of mixed drinks earlier. The officer called for a supervisor, and the supervisor called me. We made a decision not to pursue the matter further, and in abundance of caution, I instructed the supervisor have one of our officers drive Chief McClung to his home.
Following that incident this evening, Moss Point city leaders who were holding a budget meeting went into executive session to discuss the July 29th traffic stop in Pascagoula. City leaders decided to suspend the police chief without pay until an investigation into what happened is completed.
I saw the video, and based on what we've seen, which is all we have not received any legal certification or confirmation from anybody other than what we all have read or seen in the papers.
The future of Moss Point Police Chief Art McClung's job at the department is unclear.
We took the time to go into executive session, and the action that was taken in executive session is that the board have agreed to suspend Chief Art McClung without pay until this investigation is concluded, because right now all we have is what we've read in the paper, and that's all we know.
Pascagoula police say on July 29th, McClung was stopped for speeding. Police say he admitted to officers he had a few drinks. However, McClung denies that, telling WLOX News Now, quote, "I'm never impaired. I would never put myself in that position." Now with Pascagoula Police's statement about that incident and no charges or reports being filed, the citizens who McClung is sworn to protect are saying if the tables were turned, the outcome wouldn't be the same.
When I get stopped by the police, they take me to jail. I mean, you know, they don't take me out.
Oh, I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. If the stories are true, he didn't get cited. He should have been cited for drinking and driving, definitely. I don't think that's right. I think that shows favoritism.
Still, these residents say they like the work McClung is doing and hope the city makes the right decision.
I don't think anybody should lose their job for making a mistake, though. I think he should just at least be reprimanded and apologize to the public for what he did and move on.
We need a police chief tomorrow. They seem to be doing a pretty good job.
Also told WLOX News Now that immediately after the incident, he contacted Moss Point Mayor Billy Broomfield.
This story getting a lot of reaction tonight on social media with some very strong comments from WLOX viewers. Here's a sample of what some of you are saying tonight. Debbie writes, he needs to be fired, not merely suspended. Law enforcement should be of good moral character and leading by example. And Brian thinks every last one of them needs to be held accountable for their inactions. We normal, not emergency personnel wouldn't get that slap on the wrist with a ride home. Let us know what you think right now by joining the conversation on our WLOX Facebook page.
New at 10, singer Chris Brown booked into jail tonight in Los Angeles after a standoff of sorts at his home. Brown facing a charge of assault with a deadly weapon. Police came to his home to follow up on a call from a woman who told TMZ she'd been partying at Brown's house when he pulled out a gun and pointed it at her. Brown has had numerous run-ins with the law. He spent 6 years on probation for assaulting his then girlfriend, Rihanna, in 2009.
Developing in New York, several kayakers rescued from the Hudson River after they were struck by a ferry this evening. At least 5 people were injured, one of them seriously. Authorities are investigating whether the sun's glare was a factor. Police say the ferry captain was tested negative for drugs and alcohol.
Tonight in Pascagoula, voters rejecting a plan to add a 2% tax to prepared food and beverage sales. Now, 56% voted in favor of the tax, but it needed 60% support to pass. If approved, the tax would have increased from 7% to 9%. The extra revenue would have been used to fund citywide recreation. Pascagoula leaders estimated that the tax increase would have generated roughly $1 million annually.
Gulfport leaders took a closer look at a big economic development project. Developer Robert Lubin met with members of the Gulfport City Council to discuss the new Gulfport Casino in a private meeting. When Lubin first announced his intentions to build a casino resort, he said the investment would be in the $140 million range. Since then, he hasn't shared specific information about his development plans. City Council members may hear Lubin's project on their September 6th agenda.
A school bus accident in Gulfport that resulted in no injuries is raising concerns for one parent. His main concern is how long it took police to get there. Carrie Grace has a story.
Just before Eric Wells' daughter got off of the school bus Monday afternoon,
my daughter called me and informed me that the bus had backed into a vehicle on John Clark Road.
Wells and his wife arrived to the scene within minutes.
I asked the bus driver if the students were okay and if the police were called, in which she reported yes.
Wells started to watch the clock. According to the timeline he kept, almost 30 minutes passed before an officer arrived on the scene.
My biggest concern is myself and are standing out there at an accident scene with a bus. Our kids are on, and it seemed that there was a lack of immediate response.
According to Larry Benefield, who is the director of transportation for Harrison County Schools, the bus driver followed the proper protocol, but he can't control how quickly police arrive.
The road that it was on is usually very heavily trafficked. I don't know about the response. It was a minor accident.
The bigger concern is how the accident happened.
The bus driver had passed the stop and had backed up, which we're not supposed to do. They're not supposed to be backing up, but to let the young person off in front of their area that they were dropped off.
Benefield says the driver was taken for drug testing and is back driving the bus at this time. As for Wells, he still feels the situation was handled poorly and more should be done to ensure this doesn't happen in the future.
I want to see a protocol followed that is approved, by the county, by the state, and Parent Teachers Association, whoever necessarily needs to be involved.
In Gulfport, Carrie Grace, WLOX News Now.
Benefield says all parents with children on that bus were notified if they were not already on the scene.
A show of unity in a time of racial tension.
Why 2 very different groups came together tonight and the positive message it's sending to our community.